Hi. Hello, hello.
Hi, how's it
Hey,
going?
good. How are you doing?
Very good. Yeah, it's the end of my day. So yeah, really excited to chat to you. How's it going?
Yeah. Yes. Welcome to the end of your day. Mine is just starting. So dropped the kid off. I got my coffee. We're good.
Nice.
Welcome everybody to the Social Video Playbook. I am Elizabeth, your host for the next 15-ish, give or take, minutes here. In each episode, we dive into what is and is not working across social video with insight leaders, brand leaders, executives, people from these amazing companies doing amazing work across social to give us the real insights, what's actually working, what's not working. And in the end, we're building the ultimate social video playbook so you can have access to all of the tips and tricks, skip everything that hasn't worked so you don't waste your time, and go on moving that bottom line for your companies. And that's the whole goal of the social video playbook. Give these insights, make them effective, learn from people doing the work, and implement it when you feel like it works for you. One of these leaders with us today is Saffron VandenBurg. Saffron, tell us about yourselves.
Hi, Elizabeth and everybody here. I'm Saffron. I work at SAMI as a research and insights manager. And at SAMI, we help our clients understand what is going on with their consumers, what are their kind of attitudes and beliefs and behaviors and I particularly focus on like consumer trends, trend tracking and trend spotting and what's going on online in a variety of different markets. We work a lot in like the beauty space, which is where social videos like one of our main focuses, but that can really be across anything and any kind of data type as well.
I am so excited to have this conversation with you because diving into trends is a major topic for everybody all the time. And I've seen the work that you've put out or been researching rather, and I'm very excited to dive into these questions. So let's do it. Let's just figure out what's happening as a whole. So you've done a lot of great work. You've worked a lot across multiple industries, although I know that a lot of the focus for CME and what you do is like a little bit more beauty heavy, but regardless, what is the number one shift in the industry that you've seen that you just think brands aren't really ready for?
The one that I feel that we're most not ready for is we see this growing kind of movement towards less social media and this like conscious disconnection of people online. So we can, as well as looking in the beauty space, I look at like culture more generally and like industry agnostic, and we can see this kind of disconnection with the rise of, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but in the UK we call them dumb phones. So like people like moving back to the Nokias and trying to switch off. Whilst we do see like a growth in the social, we are seeing a growth in kind of that disconnection. And especially in this industry, in the industry I am as like a researcher that relies on people using social media.
Yeah.
The question I have is how are we going to shift? And I think, yeah, how will we interpret the data that isn't there if it's not there? So yeah, I think it'll be like a lot in trying to work out how to mix different methods together, working out how or when social and is the relevant method or how to integrate that with other methods. And then there's also like that paradox of like people talking more about the dumb phone or talking more about disconnection, and is it really disconnecting? I don't know, but I think that's something I feel that I need to work out how to prepare for.
Yeah, I totally hear you. And it's the same in the States too. I personally know people that have gotten rid of their iPhones and they literally have, it reminds me of the phone that I had in high school. Like the very first like singular wireless when they were a company phone and it was like big and it flips. Like they've got these tiny little phones and they're like, I don't need any more than just like text or call me and even want texting to be annoying. And I was like, okay. Go for you. I need Slack. So
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with my iPhone. But yeah, it is true. Mixing those models, like how are you supposed to reach out to those people if they aren't using social, or where are they going? Because they are still in some way going to find access to communities online. It's where do you tap in? So how do you think that social video is changing the way that brands are making decisions?
It might seem as like an opposite to what I just said, but there's, at the same time as we see people disconnecting, we have this massive rise in social commerce, and that has really changed how social video is presenting like a direct to purchase. It once was more just like awareness or kind of engagement, but now you have ROI you can attach to TikTok shop, and the decisions being made is like, how do you make the most of that, and kind of what is then the purpose of the social? Is it the engagement, or is it actual like the direct sales? And sorry,
You're all good. No, I love it.
we've been looking into kind of how people make those decisions and purchases online, and how does that differ across different channels. And with social video, it's like a lot faster, like impulse buying. And so
Okay.
the way that like brands now play on social, if they're working towards those kind of e-commerce goals, it's like tapping into those faster trends quicker, and that kind of might be at a loss of like other kind of brand identities. So like a luxury brand, how can they be an impulse purchase brand, and making those decisions about how do you capture that kind of market share whilst also staying relevant to your brand identity if you're like a more luxury brand, or
Yeah.
not
If you want
losing
to,
your kind of core audience.
yeah, you want to sell something that's not from Temu or Temu. I never pronounce it. But yeah, I totally get that. Those sites are made for impulse buys, but how are like the Tiffany's of the world supposed to also capture that market in a validated way, as that's the increase in the social commerce space? Interesting.
Yeah.
So this maybe is one of the pain points, but it is hard to figure out where these customers are and like, what are you marketing to? What are you doing? But what is like your biggest challenge across social video right now?
I think, and this might be the same for everybody, is not being able to watch the video fast enough, or like getting the richness of a video or a trend, that like the actual like substance of what is the content in the video, and what is it that makes that appealing to people, because there's so many dimensions to the video content. And in kind of other platforms where it's like more text based or image based, you have these kind of data sheets, and it's easy to run your kind of like analysis on that at scale, but it's much harder with the kind of with video. So is it like color or captions or frames, or like trending copy or audio? So yeah, it's not being being able to capture all the different dimensions of a video, and not being able to like really get that richness without watching it.
Yeah, and move at the speed of social, which is very fast.
Yeah.
What are you doing to solve this challenge? Is there anything that's been working for you or not?
So we've been exploring like Viral Moment gives you the transcripts, as so we do a lot of like topic modeling on our text data. So we've been looking at doing topic modeling on the transcripts and the captions, and seeing how like what value does that kind of bring to our analyses. We also do still watch the videos, but have a method of choosing which ones they are, and a process in place to do that. But yeah, try as much kind of tools that can get that kind of text that, or the language that's used, and into a spreadsheet, the better.
Yeah, yeah. So just being able to using tools that can better identify the right videos to actually look into and dive deeper into.
Exactly.
So if you, and that solves a portion of your problem. Once again, I think there's, God, I just read the stat and it keeps disappearing from my mind, but it's 34 million videos like uploaded every day to something. Like there's an insane amount of video content going on right now. So solving it with these tools that you're using right now, great. I think we're hitting the surface. I think we're getting there. We're about to go deeper. But if you had unlimited resources, like literally anything in the world, like how would you solve this problem?
The only way I could think of today was like, I guess the hope is that the AI is going to develop fast enough to be able to give that kind of understanding, and have that richness, that to understand the context behind the video when it watches it, to give that to me, like what was the emotional drivers, the tone, the content, all like editing techniques that were used, and being able to analyze it across all those parameters that are more intuitive to me, like when I view it.
Yeah. And honestly, with how fast AI has been like on just this
Could
year.
happen.
I can't imagine like this time next year we might be having a very different conversation. We're like, so this is what I use for AI to do everything I couldn't solve in June of 25.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about high level and some of the pain points and just kind of what's happening across like the social video space and how this era has changed a lot of the work that we have to do as a brand or insight leaders or as an agency lead. But when you're looking at measuring social video, what's a common mistake that you're seeing that brands make when interpreting like social video data?
The main one I have, and in kind of my reporting, is that often we're looking at too many KPIs to really get a meaning of what's working well, and not having that kind of looking at too many things. It's like you end up not looking at another. And I feel like a post can't do everything. And often when one metric goes up, another one might go down. One of the things that we often look at is like the engagements and the engagement rate. But like a viral post will have so much more reach and so many more plays that the engagement rate would go down, even though it's like a really good video. So often, like, my challenge is to get teams to really think about what is that focus or purpose, and kind of stay within the parameters of those KPIs rather than trying to look at everything. And then really 1 month you'll be like, we've done well here, or we've done well here, and there's not really like a clear guiding goal.
I love that. I haven't heard that one yet, but it's actually really insightful. Not every video needs to be stacked up against the same KPIs, because you're right. Like we see that within Viral Moment and other data sources as well. It's like all of a sudden your engagement rate looks like it's dropped, but it's just because your numbers are so high that getting that engagement rate is actually really hard. And so you're like, okay, this video, actually, I don't need to measure with engagement rate, because if I measure it only on a scale, then I'm not going to actually get the real value of what this video is truly doing or trying to accomplish. Yeah, that's true. That's actually really hard to figure out how to change around. Is there a thing that brands actually should be measuring that maybe they're not looking at, or that you kind of have a hard time being like, okay, like this is important and this is going to change what we need to be looking at now?
It comes back to that same question about starting with that purpose and what's the goal of the strategy. And I'd say keep it simple and keep that small. If you can, bring it back to what value is it driving. Or so we often are like measuring the impact of working with influencers. Related to the kind of rise in social commerce, we can now see, have they directly influence sales, for example, if that's the goal of that particular partnership. But one other, starting with that goal, if we know if it's actually to create brand awareness, we've developed techniques at SAMI where we called the influencer lift study, so where we actually measure the actual impact of working with an influencer based on has it increased awareness or consideration of a brand. And that can have a lot more impact than just like what the impressions were or the engagement was.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, we've had a couple of creators on earlier too, and they were saying the same thing. They're like, not every creator is made to make sales. Some creators really good at pushing your bottom line and like getting those sales out. Other creators really good at getting you in front of a new audience. Other creators great at X. Like pick which one you need to measure against, and then that's like your goal and your sweeping thing. You can't measure every creator and every influencer against the same thing.
Yeah.
We're talking a little bit about measuring success. I want to move into some insights. So what is an underrated insight that you think leaders in your field should act on now when it comes to social video that maybe they're not quite paying attention to yet that would move the needle for them?
One of the things that we've recently found when we were exploring the data and doing like an exploratory data analysis of sales data on TikTok was that there's no relationship between engagements and sales in TikTok, at least.
Okay.
So there's like almost a shift that might have to happen in like social media managers' brains, where for a long time they were driving engagements, and that was often like the key to success. And I think knowing that there isn't a relationship about it comes back to that same thing of the purpose, but it's almost like you do have to have that kind of separation, because there isn't a relationship between them, which I thought was really interesting, because I thought that kind of for years we were chasing engagements, and now they're thinking, oh, maybe that's not what's driving people to purchase. So I've been doing a lot of reading around what is that purchase drivers.
That's crazy. So you're showing that across TikTok, even though you have more engagements, like per video, per topic, per brand, you're not seeing bottom line driver regardless.
It's on a video per video basis. So we were looking at like the correlation between whether a video, like the amount of engagements a video drove, the amount of revenue or sales. And one might think that a video, if they were like positively related, then the more engagements video had, the more sales it might have, but there was just no relationship at all. So a video could have low engagement and high sales, or high engagement and high sales. It wasn't, the relationship was just, there was no relationship between the two versions. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. And it's good to know too. Like that's one of those insights. We're just like, okay, so maybe engagements isn't what I'm measuring. Maybe it's more like around the context of the video or the audience within that's watching that video. And if that audience really more of the sales buyer further down the line. Fascinating. What is a common assumption about social video that you're just like, nah, dude, that's wrong. Like, that's not how this works?
I think a common assumption, I think, from a lot of brands is that social video should be like fully polished with the branded assets and being that kind of high quality kind of video that you might see on TV, or that high production. But with TikTok especially, more lo-fi kind of content and behind the scenes kind of style, face to camera and chilled kind of content performs better. So I think we know that from like a content creator kind of perspective, but that's still the case with brands. And I think like often working with brands when they're newer to the platform, that's a shift that we need to convince them of and work with.
Yeah, definitely. Earlier I asked you if you had like unlimited resources, what you would do. But if I want to limit you down, I'm like, hey, there's one thing you can get in 2025. It's going to make social video just so much easier for your business. What would that one thing be that you're just like, I need this now?
A 2x speed button. So I can watch things just a bit faster.
Like just 2x all TikTok go.
Yeah, just because if at the moment that I am, to really get an understanding of the trend of what is it, at the moment I do need to watch it, and just to be able to watch that video is a bit faster, so I can get the gist of the kind of feel and the content, and but also not take the same amount of time.
All right, we'll call ByteDance. We'll say, hey, you 2x these 15-second videos. Do you want to watch them in 7 seconds and understand the content? I love that. Saffron, I have a quick bonus question for you. You have done some amazing work across some very huge global brands. You've learned a lot. You've navigated this space from pre-only social video to what we live in now, which eventually I think next year is going to be very AI driven. What is a lesson that you've learned from being in the space, being in your role, working your way to an intelligence leader who has won awards for the work that you've done? What's a lesson that you've learned that you want to share out to those who are watching?
I'd say stay curious and looking beyond social media and looking beyond the industry for like culture and learning and what's happening within the world, and because you'll always be able to bring that back to the work that you're doing. It'll add context when you're seeing something rise in social media, having that kind of broader understanding of what's happening in the world and culture, and really helps with that. Keep learning.
Yeah, stay curious, keep learning. I love that. I should make that like a tagline somewhere. Every email, just stay curious. That'd be fun. Saffron, it's been great connecting with you. For everybody that's watching, follow Saffron on LinkedIn. It is scrolling across the bottom. I'll also drop this in the show notes for those that are tuning in on a non-live webcam, more like our Spotify channel. We're listening in the background. But Saffron, it's been so great learning from you. I'm excited to dive deeper in more conversations across trends and trend tracking with you later. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.